Hello and welcome to the Two Man Booth, your weekly scheduled podcast on the crazy world of professional wrestling. With me, Jonathan.
And me, Adam. And we'll start this week as we always do with the news, and we have to start with some really, really sad news that's coming out of the British independent scene. Adrian McCallum, more commonly known as Lionheart, who's worked all over the British independent scene, sadly passed away at the age of 36. Adrian apparently took his own life in a tragic turn of events, and obviously our thoughts go out to his family.
Yeah, absolutely. First off, like you said, all of our thoughts go out to the family of Lionheart. I've never seen Lionheart wrestle, but I was very aware of him. I knew he was very well known on the British wrestling scene. I believe he worked for Preston City Wrestling.
Yeah, amongst a myriad of other companies, ICW.
Yeah. So he was really well known and had a load of friends. Like there's been loads of the major British names.
Yeah. Did you see Noam Dar's Twitter post about him?
I saw someone say that obviously him and Chris Travis are now together again.
It was heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah.
Just super sad. Super sad.
And we will now move on to other British wrestling news, in the sense that WWE have officially announced that they will be airing on BT Sport in the UK from January 2020, ending their 30-year-long relationship with Sky. I don't know how much of a choice WWE have had in this, but kind of interesting that they're going in completely the opposite direction to AEW, in the sense that WWE are going to an exclusive, even more niche market. I mean, Sky, for all it's a massive company, it's still not massively... It's not as available as terrestrial TV.
Yeah.
Terrestrial doesn't exist anymore, but Freeview and whatnot. But it's still got a bigger market share than BT does. So WWE are going to a much smaller audience, whereas AEW are going to, by all accounts, end up on airing their weekly show on ITV.
They're looking for exposure and free TV, and it just shows the difference in approach that both companies have got now. I mean, I remember when I was younger, I didn't have Sky, so for me, like, I was pretty much starved of wrestling. I watched Sunday Night Heat, and then towards the dying days, I watched Nitro, and it was poor.
Not good.
It was not good.
No.
So I remember lots of the bad stuff. But that one of the main reasons when I was a kid that I wanted Sky wasn't for the football. It was actually so that I could watch the wrestling, because that's how cool wrestling was back then. Seriously, now, like, is anyone going to buy BT Sport so that they can get WWE?
I guess there's going to be a precept of hardcore WWE fans that will, but it's not going to be a massive amount.
It's not like it used to.
I mean, but you just got to look at the viewing figures for Raw and SmackDown on WWE TV. Like, recently, it's such a low number that it didn't really make sense for Sky to keep it, to be honest.
Or for BT to want it.
No, but, BT are going to
take anything they can get.
Yeah, because they're really struggling for content now that they've lost the rights to Serie A and La Liga.
And the NBA.
Yeah, and other stuff like that. They never had La Liga, that was Sky. But, they've lost the rights to quite a few major sporting sort of events / sporting things. So... it makes sense for them to want to pick something up. But either way, I don't really see the massive benefit from WWE's point of view in this sense.
No, and I see there as being more of a benefit actually doing what AEW are doing and being on a TV station that everybody gets all around the nation. Because not everyone has Sky. It's bigger than it used to be, but still not everybody has it. No. Everyone has ITV because it's one of the three.
If you have a TV license,
you have ITV.
You have ITV.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't know, but I would imagine that Sunday Night Heat used to draw quite large viewing figures back when it was on Channel 4 in the late 90s. Because if you didn't have Sky, because not everybody did, that was the only way that you could actually see what was going on and just get some wrestling action. And I used to we'll talk about it at some point, but I used to love Sunday Night Heat back when, because it was a perfect 1 hour wrestling show that caught you up to date on what was going on Raw and SmackDown, but yet gave you wrestling. It was great.
And the next piece of news we've got is the Lucha Bros have won the AAA World Tag Team titles back from the Young Bucks in the semi-main event of AAA's Verano de Escandalo event. If that was even close to what the pronunciation is.
So you can say Humberto Carrillo, but you can't say that.
Look, I've perfected Humberto Carrillo. It's taken us a while. So, yeah, I haven't seen the match myself. I've heard the show was actually really good. There was a lot of good reviews about AAA's show. This was back late last week, so almost a week ago. So, but I heard a lot of good things about the show, and I heard a lot of good things about the match. So,
yeah, I haven't heard loads about it. I just know that they lost the titles, and I would assume that's it. Do you reckon?
In terms of them being AAA tag champs, I would say so. I don't expect it to be the end of the AAA AEW sort of working relationship. I do think
I just mean in terms of the title feud.
Yeah, that would seem to be it for me. Even though they are facing off in a 6-man tag at Fyter Fest that we will get to later.
Yes.
So Mike and Maria Kanellis have re-signed with WWE. I think this is for the best, as I don't really see what they would add to anything outside of WWE.
Nothing elite.
And so long as they remain in WWE, I still get to hear their awesome theme song.
But I do get to see Mike wrestle in 205 Live, which I am not a fan of.
Mojo Rawley has also signed a new multi-year deal with the company. No word on if his mirror has re-signed, though. That's still up in the air.
The mirror is the only part of the gimmick I like.
I thought you'd be disappointed by that news.
Yeah. If the mirror goes, like, I go. When the mirror goes, I go in wrestling.
That is your breaking point.
Yeah. If the mirror goes, I'm done. Like,
Wow.
Forget about botching Becky's run towards the title, botching Punk, botching everything.
Katie Vick.
Yeah, that's the mirror's my breaking point.
Your mirror's your breaking point. Good to know. Good to know.
For Punk it was very little. And for me it would appear that it's just
it's Mojo's mirror.
It's just a mirror. It's a myriad of things.
Davey Boy, that was awful. So I'm just going to move on. Davey Boy Smith Jr. has left New Japan Pro Wrestling, which is kind of interesting. Interesting to see where he goes.
Left is a very interesting way to word that. I have a feeling he's been told he's no longer needed. There's a lot of rumours about that. He's just been told he's no longer required.
And Scarlett Bordeaux has been granted her release from Impact. Her partner, Killer Cross, remains under contract, though, but she has indeed left the promotion. We'll be interested to see what because we were talking about this recently, because we caught an episode of Impact, and
she's getting better.
Improved a lot. I still don't think she's great, but she has improved.
And she's over.
A massive amount, and she was really over. Like her and... was it Falabar she was with on that show?
Falabar tagging again...
The Christs?
The Christs?
Possibly?
Yeah, because she was the only woman in the match.
Yeah. So they were really over as an act together, and I don't know whether that was a long-term thing, because I don't get to watch Impact as frequently as I would like.
I'm watching more in terms of now, because we're in towards Slammiversary, and I like what I'm seeing, but... I'm not aware of if they're a regular team.
But it'll be interesting to see what Scarlett does going forward anyway.
AEW, I think she'd be a good manager.
Yeah, definitely.
She'd be a great manager. Whether she becomes a wrestler or not, I don't know, but I think she probably wants to do that, though, right?
I think somewhere like MLW might be a good fit for her right now.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens.
Does she ever work Shimmer and things like that?
Yeah, possibly.
Just to get better.
Since Melissa's second title reign, I've kind of fallen out of keeping up with Shimmer, to be honest. But
yeah.
Anyway, we will now move on to Monday Night Raw.
Oh, I don't have to go. Yay.
Yeah, because
it was actually decent.
It's a decent show this week.
Not great, but much better.
So we start with Elias, who is already in the ring. He talks about Anthony Davis moving to the Lakers, and says it was because he wanted to be in the only city where the people are more toxic than the pollution. He takes off his coat to reveal a referee shirt, saying that Baron picked him to be the special ref on Sunday. Before he can go any further, Seth Rollins appears and waffles him with a steel chair. He beats him down with it for a while before grabbing a mic and saying, after dealing with Brock, he's had enough of games, so this is a warning for anyone considering being the special ref. He warns them to choose wisely.
A quick opening segment.
Relatively, yes.
I quite like this.
Mm-hmm. And then we got a fun little sequence of every person in the upcoming Fatal 5-Way taking out Elias one by one.
Yeah.
Which was entertaining.
It was. I didn't mind this. Yeah. I wasn't in love with it, but I liked it.
This was the first of a few weird things on the the two shows this week, and we'll get into what we thought of Raw and SmackDown later, but they were better than they have been.
But not perfect.
But there was a couple of weird things. The first one being, why the hell was this an elimination match? Like, why was this Fatal 5-Way an elimination match? Because they had to go out their way to protect certain people, i.e. Braun, which they wouldn't have had to do if they just made it a one fall to a finish match.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's not like they wanted to do like an hour-long match or something, so they felt they had to put eliminations in. This was literally...
It was quick.
It was, it was over in 12, 15 minutes, whatever it was.
Yeah.
So I don't get why this was an elimination match.
Because they still lack logic.
But they did a 2 out of 3 falls match later in the night. They did a 2 out of 3 falls match on SmackDown.
So they didn't lack
neither
steps.
of which made any sense.
Yeah.
It seems weird.
Yeah.
I think
they're still very much in throwing stuff at the wall mode.
Yeah. Anyway, so the Fatal 5-Way itself was Ricochet versus Braun Strowman versus Cesaro versus The Miz versus Bobby Lashley. And the winner would get a shot at Samoa Joe tonight, actually, because we're recording this on Sunday, a little bit later than usual.
We are.
So getting a shot at Samoa Joe later on tonight. This was a nice change of pace, really. Like we've already mentioned, that basically 5 minutes into the show, we already had wrestling taking place. Who knew? And
on a wrestling show? Sorry, no, it's not wrestling.
No, it's sports entertainment.
It's sports entertainment.
So Braun runs wild until Cesaro catches him and goes for the neutralizer. Braun hits a power slam on him, then one on Lashley before pinning Cesaro. So that made Cesaro look ridiculously stupid.
It did, indeed.
Yeah. Lashley takes out everyone one by one before Braun catches him with a power slam and eliminates him too. So now we've got Lashley looking like a loser. Braun decimates Ricochet and Miz. He picks up Miz for a power slam, but Lashley comes back in and hits the spear on Braun. Cesaro rolls back in too and hits the neutralizer in what was a pretty impressive show of strength, because Braun is a big man to pick up for that neutralizer.
But Cesaro, I always remember Cena saying that Cesaro was arguably pound for pound the strongest guy in the company.
So Ricochet then hits the 630 and pins Braun as Lashley and Cesaro hold him down. That was stupid. I get why, in terms of don't book yourself into a corner.
We must protect Braun, but I
if
don't
this
get
wasn't
why
an
they couldn't just
elimination
look at it and go, well, there's an easy way out of this. Is it laziness or incompetence?
I have no idea.
Because there's an easy way out of that, isn't there? It's so simple. If we were booking it, we'd just go, all right, we'll just don't make it an elimination match, and then we can have Braun off in the corner somewhere when the finish happens.
Yeah, or you could have him
have Braun taken out in some ridiculous way.
The spot they absolutely love, where somebody gets speared through the barricade.
Yeah.
Have Braun do that to Lashley or something,
And then
in the ring, Ricochet is hitting the 630 on Cesaro for the pin.
And Braun still looks mint.
Well, he still looks like a monster.
Yeah, he's just done the spot that we all, yeah.
So Braun beals Ricochet over the top onto Lashley, who just takes an amazing bump. I just wanted to reference that because Lashley's bump off of that Ricochet hitting him was absolutely phenomenal.
Yes.
Braun then pounces Cesaro into the Tron. And when we come back from the break, Ricochet attempts the 630, but Miz moves. Miz goes for the figure 4, but Ricochet schoolboys him for 2. Miz then manages to lock on the figure 4, but Ricochet reverses the pressure. Miz reverses it back, and Ricochet gets the ropes. Miz springboards in, but eats a single leg code breaker, and then Ricochet hits the 630 for the win. This was fun, but as I said, would probably have been better as a 1-4 match for a multitude of reasons. It does give us a potentially amazing match for Sunday, or tonight rather. Post-match, Joe fails in an attack attempt on Ricochet, who low bridges him and hits a twisting tope. This was fun, good, decent build in the end. I don't think it should have been an elimination match, but Ricochet versus Joe is probably going to be really, really good tonight.
I really, really didn't mind it. I actually quite like this. We won't take out the sort of weird booking. The match itself was good.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. I like that Ricochet got the win, because I was getting worried that he was no longer the shiny new toy.
Yeah, and I don't think he's going to pick up the win. We'll
neither do I.
Predictions later. I don't think he'll pick up the win tonight, but
hopefully it'll be a really good match.
Yeah,
we'll get him over.
That given having a really, really good match against Joe, and especially because this pay-per-view looks like it's going to be absolute, basically hot garbage.
Yes,
that is one of the few matches on the card where you look and go, that could actually be good. And if they go out there and have an amazing match on a terrible card, people will remember that, and people will gravitate behind Ricochet.
Of course.
So this is only good news for him.
I totally agree.
So Becky is here. She wants Lacey now. Lacey arrives and Becky mocks her. Lacey talks about her struggles in life and her times as a Marine. She can attend boot camp in the morning and run a cotillion at night. Betty respects what she was, but says she's trash now. Lacey calls her beatable and says on Sunday, but before she can finish that thought, Betty attacks her and hits the Bexploder. This was a decent segment to build what I'm sure will be a very underwhelming match.
Totally agree. I didn't mind the segment. I like some of Becky's lines in particular. I like Becky's lines in terms of like, you know, I respect totally who you were and where you've come from, but who you are now is an embarrassment. They were going for like the weird like Stacey Keibler entrance, weren't they, with Lacey? They were doing very like, you know, like the just where she just gets in between the ropes.
I think she's always been doing that, hasn't she?
Has she? It's because it seemed like she's always done.
I could be wrong.
She's always been very sexualized.
You mean the way she takes a sweet time sort of getting through the ropes?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure she's been doing that.
Yeah, like it just, she's always been really sexualized. I just noticed it a lot more
on this show.
On this show. It makes me a bit like
it's
women's evolution
flair to it. But
women's evolution.
The segment as a whole was decent though.
I am also like, I know I've spoken to you and I'm doing it like just on my own. I'm very much currently in the process of rebooking the women's division from WrestleMania through to now. I'm going to do what I did last time I booked the women's division. I'm going to book it for a year and see how I get on and then see whether I take it further.
And the Revival head to Shane's VIP lounge and finally get that drink that they earned last week. Rude Interviewer is with Baron Corbin. He's not worried and will reveal his choice on the Kevin and Sammy show tonight. Seth tips up and takes him out with his trusty steel chair. I am thoroughly enjoying random sneak attack Seth Rollins, can I just say?
Yes, I did for parts of the show.
I liked it throughout.
Like, it got to a point...
I know what segment
you're
referring to. There was
one bit.
Yes.
There was one bit where I was like,
we'll
don't
get to
like...
That, but I genuinely
this was mint.
didn't mind
yeah,
it.
I love that.
I didn't mind that one you're talking about later on, but we'll debate that when we get to the segment. But this was fun.
I did like the idea of Rollins just going around and being like, yeah, I'm not having anyone screw me this time. And just, you know, making it as hard for Corbin as he possibly could.
So the Planet's champs are here. Be interesting to see what they do with Brian and Rowan on Sunday, well, the night, and see whether they're going to have them bury the crowd, because Brian's going to be worshipped, isn't he? I mean,
he always is in Washington.
Yeah,
he always is. Like, and they've gone down. And I mean, we spoke about how they went down the Bret Hart route with him.
To be fair, last time they did do that, didn't they?
Yeah,
they let him be him.
But Meltzer and Alvarez have said on the Observer, like, the problem with that, though, is they're trying to get Heavy Machinery over. And
yeah, I really worry about them in that spot, because I like Heavy Machinery a lot, and I think they've got a lot of potential, and I really think they're on a hiding to nothing. They could go out and have a really good match, and as long as they don't get booed too heavily, I think Brian and Rowan have got to go over, otherwise the crowd will turn hard on Heavy Machinery.
I agree.
And I also think it's too early for them
but
anyway.
Maybe a cheap heat win.
Yeah,
something like a heel win would be perfect in this scenario, because Brian will get cheered no matter what.
Yeah. So they're here anyway, the Planet's champs, and Rowan is wearing a Glory Hammer t-shirt this week as he cements himself as a babyface in my heart.
Just wait until he wears a Pearl Jam one.
Brian says LA is the smog capital of America and is filled with ignorant people. They are here to educate and excite the fans. And tonight, he will beat and humiliate Seth Rollins and prove he's better than the entire Raw roster. Impotent masses of Los Angeles, prepare to be excited. I love Brian.
Brian is the best thing in the company, isn't he?
Oh, he's just phenomenal.
Like, he actually is the best thing in the company. Like, he has been really since he turned heel. Like, it's not. I don't think it's close. He is the best thing in the company. But they're not pushing him anymore.
No. So we got the Viking Raiders versus Russ and Ross Taylor, one of whom is Ryan Taylor from PWG, just FYI. The Viking Raiders made their entrance and share a stare down with Brian and Rowan, who are still on the stage. So I wonder if we'll see something wildcard related with that going forward.
That would be really cool. I'd be because SmackDown's tag division is barely depleted.
Raw hits shotgun knees immediately and then brings the other Taylor in to hit an exploder. He tags Hansen in and they hit the springboard lariat German combo. They then hit the Viking experience for the win. Short and sweet.
Yeah, is the Viking experience just now the new name of the move?
It's what used to be called Thor's Hammer, which is just the pop-up power slam.
But now it's the Viking experience.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't just let that die.
Yeah, whatever. I'm past caring on that, to be honest.
Thor's Hammer. The Viking experience.
Yes.
Thor's Hammer. How does Vince get these things wrong?
I don't know.
How? Like a 5-year-old would think that Thor's hammer sounds cooler. Like, I'm a teacher. I could ask the majority of my class which one of these sounds cooler as a wrestling move. They'd all say Thor's hammer.
Which is surprising because I'm pretty sure Vince could well go to your school. He is of the right mental age.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yes.
you know. Anyway,
Yeah.
24/7 rubbish next, and then Heath tips up at Shane's VIP lounge. He wants a raise. Shane tells him to leave. Drew follows him out, and as a fellow member of 3MB, he says sorry and offers to help Heath out. It's all a ruse, though, and he beats him down as the Revival take the money that Drew pretended to give to Heath. This was so odd. This was just a really weird segment.
Yes, it was.
I listened to the Observer's review of Raw on Monday, and I think Brian and Dave really liked this segment.
I didn't.
I thought it was weird. I did find the Revival scrambling to pick up all of Drew's money quite funny, although, like, it's tag champs.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Don't really make him a joke.
But it was just, the whole thing just felt really odd to me.
I agree.
Yeah.
It seemed like they had nothing to fill space, and they wrote, because Heath's not gonna suddenly think that Drew's a nice guy,
No.
and it's like they've had no interaction since 3MB.
Yeah, Drew's literally left the company and come back since
And it's
last
not as
time
if
we
like
saw them
3MB was like, you know, like it's like DX. Or
I don't know,
something.
mate. Did you hear when Drew came out and I don't know whether it was one person. I just remember this happening. I don't know whether it was one person or several people in the crowd, but Drew was coming out and saying sorry and patting Heath on the shoulder, and I just heard in the audience because he could hear 3MB, yeah, and I was
But
like,
it's not like it
still
was
over.
It's not like it was like the highlight of his career, was it?
No, it was pretty much a lower light.
Like when like Heath, Drew, and Jinder.
Don't hinder Jinder.
Jinder was the only one that actually really belonged. At least Heath has talent. Like, Heath legitimately has talent.
And Jinder's the only one to win the WWE title since. And anyway, yeah. So we have the Kevin and Sammy show next. Corbin is the guest. Sammy says this is a safe place, but says they cannot be the referee for him on Sunday. They want Corbin to reveal who it will be. Corbin says he picked somebody who was born to count to 3. EC3. Rollins arrives and destroys EC3.
I'm going to bury this now.
Corbin has to go back to the drawing board. New Day tip up. They have a moment of silence for EC3 before Sammy says they aren't invited and aren't wildcards. So even the show is acknowledging that the wildcard thing is total rubbish.
Because
now.
they have no idea anymore.
Kofi says he goes where he pleases and brings his boys with him. He says he already beat Owens and has Dolph right where he wants him, inside a steel cage. Corbin wants a fight with New Day. They accept and drag EC3 to his feet and fake his voice to make the match. This was kind of weird.
Right, so I think a lot of people found this really funny on first watch. I must be honest, my initial reaction when I first saw this, I was like, oh my god, EC3. Like, he's just been buried beyond like all recognition. And there was loads of people sending it around Twitter and stuff. And I saw EC3 tweet every time you laugh at me, like, I cry inside. And it's just like, it's awful. Like, he's being buried so badly.
Yeah, I don't get what the problem is with EC3.
I don't know when his contract's coming up, but like, you can guarantee he's leaving. You can just see he's done.
Do you blame him?
No, if I was him, I'd be asking for my release now. Like, he's done.
I thought this was a moderately entertaining segment. It was kind
It's
of
just hard
odd.
to watch when someone's getting buried.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's really like when someone that we both like is getting, like, it's an outright burial.
It's tantamount to the fact that they just don't know what they're doing at the minute, because if you look at EC3 and think there is nothing we can do with this person.
He's a Vince guy as well, though. Like, look at him.
There's something majorly wrong with you. I mean, the dude's not amazing in the ring. He's okay, and he can be very good with the right person. But generally, he's just okay. But
great promo, great
he's
look.
Absolutely great promo, and they never let him talk.
No,
like
he's a great promo. He's got a great look. He's got a great body. Mm-hmm. He is literally everything that Vince looks for. Mm-hmm. Like, and he's funny. Mm. And he can be serious, he can be heel, he can be babyface. We've seen it across loads of NXT, TNA. Mm. Like, he was great in TNA with him and Spud. Were awesome.
I remember in a very, very, very dark period of TNA,
he was
I
shining light.
remember you just completely given up on the company, and
I
texted you and said you need to watch Spud versus E33 because I'd been putting over the storyline to you, and you'd been like, yeah, but I'm not watching TNA.
No.
And like the match was legitimately,
it was great.
It was
Was
arguably
in
the
London?
best match. I think it was.
Yeah.
It was arguably the best match of both men's careers.
Yeah, because it was at a point where TNA was still really popular in the UK, like really popular.
So we see AJ backstage with a doctor. Gallows and Anderson approach dressed as doctors. AJ has a go at them for not being serious and talks about how good they were in Japan and when they first came to WWE. Then they got comfortable. He lights a fire under them, and Anderson says they have a match with the Usos tonight.
Yeah, that's why they're not doing very well.
So next up we had New Day versus Corbin and Steen Jericho. For some reason this is now 2 out of 3 falls, and also New Day versus Steen Jericho is official for Stomping Grounds. The heels isolate Xavier until Owens goes for a senton but eats the knees. Xavier goes for a tag but Sammy prevents it, only for Xavier to roll him up for the first fall. After the break, the heels have control. Surprise, surprise. Kofi eventually gets the hot tag and runs wild. He hits a crossbody on Corbin for 2 and follows up with the boom drop before being caught with the deep 6, but Xavier breaks up the pinfall attempt. The heels clear the ring, and Corbin goes for his around the ring post spot, but Kofi ducks and he lariats Sammy instead. Owens is upset and asks Corbin what he's doing. Corbin shoves him, so Owens levels him with a super kick, and he and Sammy leave. Kofi hits Trouble in Paradise for the win. This show has been like very bizarrely booked, more entertaining than usual. But like I've literally wrote my notes at this point. It's been very bizarrely booked. Like Baron Corbin is not a strong contender for Seth Rollins, and I am not saying I want to see Baron Corbin winning matches on Raw every week. Please, Vince, that is not what I mean by this. But when you are putting him in a championship match and he's going up strong against your top champion, the top guy in the company for the top championship in the company,
and is most likely
he
losing.
Needs to win going into that match.
When he's most likely losing.
Please, please tell me.
Please, for the love of God, Vince, make him lose. Oh God,
if Corbin goes over tonight,
I might be done. Yeah,
I'm not sure I'll be done, but God,
because I'll be done. Because if you combine that with mirrors going missing, like I am done.
Can you imagine if Corbin wins the title tonight and we move on to Shane versus Kofi next, and Shane wins the title, and the top two champions are Corbin and Shane McMahon.
The best in the world is Shane and Baron Corbin.
That is just
like we used to really like Corbin in his role in NXT, where he was just the anti-Smark. Mm-hmm. Like he was awesome in that, but it was an undercard role.
His character was good. Yeah,
it was an undercard role.
But he's just got gory heat with me now.
Yeah.
So Alexa's got Nikki a present, a tag title match with the Iconics. We get our placeholder Brock promo. I wonder if he cashes in tonight, you know. Like, I've got a weird feeling about it. I know they've been teasing us for weeks and weeks and weeks, but they've stopped outwardly teasing it, and Heyman's just like, could be here tonight, could be here on Sunday, could be here next week, could wait until Mania. And just the way the doing things.
I think it's happening at SummerSlam.
Do you think Corbin goes over tonight and Brock cashes in?
That would suck so much. Mm-hmm. That sucks so much.
I've got a really weird feeling. I've gone for Seth in the predictions, by the way, but I've just got a weird feeling.
I've gone Seth too.
Yeah,
it would suck. I wouldn't be surprised though if it happens at SummerSlam.
Anyway, Heyman says he's not happy being out here when Seth is running around like a maniac attacking people with chairs. He makes it clear that he will not be the ref on Sunday because you'd have to be dumb to accept the job. Heyman teases Brock being here tonight because no one knows when Brock will turn up. It was fine. Like I said, it's a typical placeholder Brock promo. I did like Heyman's line about nobody should be stupid enough to accept being the ref on Sunday. And I do wonder how they're going to get out of it, because as much as I've enjoyed the Seth stuff, who takes that role now? Who takes it?
Because a lot of people have been like, Brock? But that
wouldn't make any sense, because Brock can just take both people out and then just cash in, make it a triple threat match. Who is then the referee?
Yeah.
Because the ref...
Brock counts himself.
The ref is...
I am the champion!
You know what? If this was DDT...
He would.
This would be amazing and would be absolutely the right thing to do.
Can Brock raise his own hand?
I'm sure he can get Heyman to raise it.
Yeah. Genius.
Anyway, so we see Corbin backstage with EY.
Heyman can count. Like, we've seen Heyman count
ECW,
to 3.
One Night Stand 2006.
EC can count to 3 really well.
And Taz will just accept it.
Yeah.
I guess.
Reasons.
Yeah.
That's when Reasons is good, though. Yeah. That's when Reasons is good.
So we see Corbin backstage with EY. He offers him the job on Sunday. EY thanks him and says he'll think about it. As he walks away, he comes across Seth. EY says he was never considering it. Seth says they go way back and tells EY not to worry about it before mullering with a chair anyway. So I take it this is the segment.
That's what I don't like. This is what now makes Rollins look like. I'm all for having him look smart, but he's supposedly saying that this guy is his friend. I know it's. I don't hate it. I don't hate it, but it just seems a bit like you're my friend. Like it's fine. I get what you're doing, and then attack him with a chair from behind.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, I think they're in a bit of a corner with that because you can't hit somebody in the face with a chair. Like, it's banned in WWE law. So he couldn't attack him from the front, if you know what I mean. He had to attack him from behind.
All they do is like the
yeah, but I think it wouldn't have had the impact they wanted it to have if he hit him in the
it'd have
stomach.
looked
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they wanted that climactic one shot to the back. I get what you're saying. I just personally go along the lines of Seth is in total Austin mode right now. Just don't trust anyone. Take everybody out and make sure nobody in their right mind, friend or foe, wants to be that referee on Sunday.
I get that.
Yeah,
I do get it.
So I didn't hate it.
No, I don't hate it. I just didn't love. I liked it all the way through until this.
So the Usos cut a short Uso-ish promo. I'm not going to really explain it more than that because I can't. Before welcoming Gallows and Anderson to the Uso Penitentiary. And then we had the Usos versus the Good Brothers next. The Good Brothers control the match until they spend a bit too much time too sweeting. They set up for Magic Killer on Jay, but Jimmy makes a save and takes Anderson out with a super kick. Jay gets a tag to Jimmy and then hits Gallows with a super kick. With Jimmy now in, they hit the double super kick for the win. AJ looks on infuriated from backstage. So, what was the point in this?
I assume it's
you guys are geeks and you need to get your stuff together.
Stop being cool, doing like too sweet and all that stuff that got you over in the first place.
They have AJ say that to them, and then they go out there, they do it anyway, and they lose in 2 minutes. Unless this is leading to some kind of like AJ, like it's going to be a continuing thing where AJ's there next week and is like, you need to get your stuff together.
I think we're getting some sort of club reunion.
Yeah.
Which is fine, right? But they've botched it several times now. Like, if you're going to do the Bullet Club, do it properly and have them recruit people.
Yeah.
And be very, very selective about who you pick to put in that group.
They'd have to run roughshod over the company. It has to be an NWO angle. Heel takeover mode. Just to recover the club because of how damaged it kind of is in the eyes of everybody who watches WWE
so
TV.
It'd have to be an NWO style angle.
Yeah.
And they'd have to recruit, and it'd have to be good people that they recruited that fit. But I'm not sure who fits.
No. Roman is here. He doesn't want to make excuses for his loss to Shane. He wants to entertain the crowd, so calls out Shane. There's an oxymoron if ever I heard one. Shane appears on the Tron and says he shouldn't be ashamed of losing to the best in the world. He won't fight Roman, and then Drew says that he'll beat Roman on Sunday. Roman heads to the back and disposes of the Revival like they aren't there before confronting Shane and Drew. He puts Drew through a table as Shane runs away. Roman chases him to the ring and beats him down before hitting a Superman punch and spear. He tells Shane to head to the back and tell Drew he's getting his backside kicked on Sunday. This was a good segment. I would prefer the Stooges being destroyed by Roman to not be the tag champs, but apart from that, this was really good. Made Roman look great. Shane played a great snivelling heel. Drew going through a table ahead of their match. I guess if Drew's going over, it's fine, but it kind of felt like maybe he shouldn't have been there. Like he should have been taken.
I don't think Drew is going over.
Yeah, I don't either.
No.
But there was bits and pieces I didn't like about it, but overall I thought it was a really good angle. And you know what? Quietly, they're doing good things with Roman outside of Saudi Arabia.
Totally agree. I actually really like this. Like I'm on this totally same boat as you in that I don't like it being the Revival who are getting their backsides handed to them so quickly.
Yeah.
I don't like that. But like if you just take the whole segment on its own, Shane
needs his own Pat Patterson and Jerry Briscoe essentially.
He does, yes. He needs some stooges. Like he needs J&J security.
Yeah.
Like jobbers that can just like the B team.
Yeah.
Like some
B team would be fine, yeah.
B team would fit perfectly.
Yeah.
So, but I like the segment.
Yeah.
A lot.
So, rude interviewer approaches Bayley backstage and asks her about the negative social media stuff about Bayley refusing to take a picture with a young fan in a Nikki Cross t-shirt. Bayley says this has Alexa written all over it, and leaves to take care of her. Naomi and Natalya, being babyfaces, have the collective IQ of a rodent suffering from a traumatic brain injury, so they naturally question whether Bayley would actually do that. Because, if somebody came up to me and said, I'm pretty sure Jonathon murdered a child the other day.
That's the thing that your mind has ran to.
And you go, this has so-and-so written all over it. I'm going to go deal with them. As soon as you walk away, I go, gee, I wonder if he really did. No, because I know you're a good person and you wouldn't do that. So why are Bayley and Naomi so stupid? Idiots.
Totally agree.
So the Iconics versus...
How did murder a child?
Well, I was just going for a bad thing.
Yeah, okay.
That's a bad thing.
In case you didn't know, people. We're all in agreement.
Child murdering.
That is
not
bad
good.
thing.
So next up we had the Iconics versus Nikki and Alexa. The Iconics cut a promo on their way down to the ring, mocking Alexa and Nikki as a team, as well as LeBron being a champion before he came to the Lakers. The fans boo the Lakers and then chant along with the iconic catchphrase, so either this is a clip of heavy crowd or they just love the Iconics that much. Bayley arrives and the two teams go back and forth until the Iconics take control and isolate Nikki. Nikki tries to fire back, but Billy cuts her off and then knocks Alexa to the floor. Bayley gets in Alexa's face and Alexa shoves her to the floor. Nikki is distracted by Peyton, allowing Billy to roll her up for the win as Bayley grabs Alexa off the apron and shoves her to the floor. This was fine. It was short.
No complaints.
It added to the storyline. I didn't think Bayley came across as heelish because Alexa was the one who got in her face first and Bayley sort of got shoved down and then, yes, she pulled her off the apron, but it was in response to what Alexa had done. But it also gave Nikki a somewhat credible reason to be
doubt
on Alexa's side and doubt Bayley's character to a degree.
Yeah. But when were Nikki and Bayley friends?
They weren't, but Nikki assumed Bayley was a good person.
A good person.
And now, she's been doubting that she's a good person for no reason, just because Alexa's telling her. And apparently, babyfaces don't have eyes.
Yeah.
I assume Nikki's still a babyface. But
she's a dumb babyface.
At least now she's got a little bit of a credible reason. She's still stupid for believing Bayley is the bad person in this scenario. But
yes,
she's slightly less stupid than she was before.
Agreed.
So we see Nikki and Alexa backstage, and before Alexa can even point the finger at Bayley, Nikki cuts her off and says Alexa was right. Bayley isn't who she claims to be, and she crushed Nikki's dreams tonight, so Nikki will be in Alexa's corner on Sunday to watch her crush Bayley's dreams in revenge. The Firefly Funhouse weirdness continues as all of the puppets say join us. Bray tells us to follow the leader. I know some people love this stuff, but I just don't get it. It's not for me.
It needs to go somewhere.
I don't think we're far from.
Do you think he's there tonight?
Could be, but where though? In what role? I don't see a scenario for him to step into.
Special guest ref. There's been some rumours.
Really?
There have been some rumours.
That would be such a weird way to re-debut Bray.
It'd be rubbish, wouldn't it? So they might do it.
What brand is he technically on? Is he still on SmackDown? Because he was last time I remember Bray being even remotely relevant was when he was WWE champion and he faced Orton.
He was Raw tag champ though with Hardy, wasn't he?
With Matt, yeah, he wasn't he?
With the Deleters of Worlds, Deleters of
something like that.
Deleter of World.
Either way, to be fair, at this point, does the brand split even matter? He could have
the brand what?
The brand split, yeah,
doesn't exist.
I have been thinking of when Kofi inevitably beats Dolph tonight. Who does he face afterwards? Because they've made Owens and Zayn look like total geeks, so they can't be the person. Unless they do something, you can't really do a screw. Well, I say you can't do a screw finish in a cage match. Of course you can, it's WWE. But Bray against Kofi next?
Or
what?
Here comes the money.
Don't.
Money talks.
Don't. It's not funny. Not big and it's not clever.
No, it isn't, but it is what they might do.
So Rude interviewer catches up with Bryan and asks him about whether he's worried about facing an ultra-violent Seth Rollins tonight. Clockwork Orange. Bryan queries why no one has removed the chair from Rollins and says Seth is not a better wrestler and has never beaten him. Seth walks past Becky backstage because I guess that's a thing we have to see weekly now. And then we got Seth versus Bryan. Rollins hit a suicide dive, goes for a second, but Rowan cuts it off and hits the Iron Claw slam on the apron, causing the DQ. Post-match, Bryan and Rowan... But by the way, I didn't cut anything out there. That was literally the match.
That was the match, I know.
Post-match, Bryan and Rowan beat Rollins down until the New Day make the save. Zayn Owens and the Revival then come down before finally the Usos come down to join the brawl. The faces get the upper hand, and then New Day hold down the ropes as the Usos dive on the heels. Bryan and Rollins are left in the ring as an announcement is made that the match will start with everyone banned from ringside.
Stupid end to the show. Stupid.
Why do a DQ finish and then just restart the match? What was the point in the DQ finish and then everybody just coming out and brawling, big dives, and like, just give me 15 minutes of Rollins versus Bryan?
Yeah.
Like, why? What was the point in that first match? Was
it to protect Bryan?
Well, no, because he, like...
did the job anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought... Anyway.
Reasons.
So when we come back, they start off hot and Bryan takes control. He hits 2 corner drop kicks, but Rollins levels him with a lariat when Bryan goes for a third. He hits strikes and then the sling blade for 2. He goes for the stomp, but Bryan moves and then follows with an O'Connor roll for 2. They trade pin attempts and strikes until Rollins goes for his particular style of enziguri, only to get caught into an ankle lock. Bryan transitions and hits a beautiful leg capture German. He hits a flying knee off the apron and then heads up top, but Rollins meets him up there. They jockey for control, but Rollins hits a superplex. He goes for the Falcon Arrow to follow, but Bryan counters with the label lock. Rollins makes the ropes and Bryan sets up for the Busaiku knee, but Rollins catches him and hits the buckle bomb and then a super kick for a near fall. He heads up top, but the high fly floor eats the knees. Bryan grabs the label lock again, but Seth escapes and then hits the stomp for the win. This was a super fun 6-minute match, but like I said, really, Bryan and Rollins should be getting longer. And why we had to have the DQ finish in the first match and then a brawl, I just don't get. Like I said, just give these guys 20 minutes and have Seth go over clean, and I leave this episode of Raw feeling a lot better than I did, because this kind of left a sour taste in my mouth. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I agree. It didn't need to happen, and it was an odd end to what was a decent Monday Night Raw.
Have you heard what the supposed explanation for why we've been getting these 2 out of 3 fall matches and the weird DQ we got in this and the elimination match earlier
Go on.
According to Brian Alvarez of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, the reason behind it is Vince has decided that because real sports don't have any action during breaks, neither should pro wrestling. But if you're going to have people go like 15, 20 minutes, you've got to have a commercial in there somewhere. So hence they had Bryan and Rollins start the match, but then he didn't want any action during the break, so they did the DQ, then the brawl, went to the break, and when we came back, the match started. That's supposedly the reason behind it. And if that is the reason, then God knows how many knots they're going to have to twist themselves into on a weekly basis to get out of having action during advert breaks.
But all you have to do is show footage of what happened during the break. That's what wrestling's done for years.
It's Vince's new thing, apparently. He just doesn't want it to happen.
But...
yeah, I know.
But the only reason it doesn't happen in other sports is because there are natural breaks in other sports. So, for example, in the NFL, they go to advert breaks in between plays or at timeouts or in between quarters or at the halftime. Like, in soccer, in this country, we do not go to commercial breaks.
Don't call it soccer.
I know, but just, sorry.
In football.
In football or soccer.
Yeah.
In this country, we do not go to commercial breaks during the game. We only go during halftime and before and after the game. So,
I don't know what the answer is. Apparently that's
not
Vince's
it.
Reasoning. Yeah.
So
post-match, Corbin gets some heat back after being thoroughly humiliated all night and lays Rollins out with chair shots, and then end of days. He pauses with the title as we go off the air. This is a much better episode of Raw than we've seen in a long time. It still wasn't great. The overall flow and entertainment value of the show was higher, but there was still a lot of weird booking moves. Plus, with just a few changes, this could have been a much better show. Still, I'll take this Raw over what we've been getting.
6 out of 10 is a lot better than 1 out of 10.
Yeah, totally agree. So, Raw viewership averaged 2.24 million viewers this week, which was up 5% from last week. Sadly, that's not a great number, considering last week went up against the NBA Finals. The show was down a mammoth 23% year on year. Hour 1 drew 2.33 million viewers, Hour 2 drew 2.3 million, and Hour 3, 2.08. That's actually, in context, not a horrible drop-off compared to the average from Hour 1 to Hour 3, so Bryan and Rollins obviously helped to retain some of the audience.
Still not good, though.
Not good at all.
Not good.
And with that, we move to SmackDown Live. We open with the New Day. Big E starts talking about a new idea for the second hour of SmackDown, but before he can share what I can only assume would be a huge improvement, Ziggler arrives. He says Kofi doesn't deserve to be champion, and on Sunday he will win because Kofi is nothing without New Day. Kofi says he's ready for Sunday. Dolph said he's going to use his match with Xavier tonight to send a message.
This is absolutely fine. I just feel like it's the same opening segment we've seen week after week now.
True. So we got Dolph versus Xavier. They battle for control early until Dolph takes control. Eventually Woods fights back, but Owens and Zayn take out New Day on the floor. Xavier takes them out with a dive, but when he gets back in, Dolph lands a DDT for a near fall. Dolph works a nice heat segment, but Xavier fires up and fights back. He hits a nice gut buster for a near fall. They wind up on the apron and Dolph sends him into the post and then hits a super kick. Dolph hits the zigzag in the ring but doesn't pin him. He ties Xavier up in the ropes and hits a super kick for the win. This was a good match with Xavier looking good in defeat and more importantly Dolph going into Sunday's match looking strong.
Like, I actually quite like everything they're doing with Dolph. It's just, we've said it before, it's just that it's Dolph.
Yeah.
But like objectively, it's all actually really good, and Dolph is doing quite well in the role.
The line that I keep refusing to recap in the notes just because I hated so much of it.
It should have been me.
Yeah, that I don't like, but everything else I agree with you.
Yeah, like I think Dolph's delivering everything really well. It's just that he's just spent.
So, for some reason, lots of people still want to be Corbin's ref and wait outside of his locker room. Matt Hardy bumped into Shelton Benjamin and called him Senor Benjamin, which made me laugh.
Senor Benjamin.
And then we have next, not what we are giving segment of the week, but what was a really strong contender for me for segment of the week this week. And you're not going to believe this. It was a moment of bliss. Alexa
no, I don't agree.
What?
No, I didn't like it.
This was a phenomenal segment.
I thought it sucked.
Oh, you are so wrong.
I thought it was just women arguing.
So Alexa and Nikki come out, but before Alexa brings out Bayley, she needs her coffee. She gets Bayley instead, who comes out drinking Alexa's coffee. Bayley tells Nikki that Alexa is just using her, and Alexa retorts saying she tried to be friends with Bayley in NXT, but Bayley made her feel worthless. Bayley says Alexa is using Nikki just like she used Nia Jax and Mickie James and called her an entitled princess. She says she never needed anyone to get ahead, but Alexa says she's just a placeholder that peaked in NXT, who was just jealous that Alexa is having the career that Bayley always dreamt of. They brawl, and Bayley gets the upper hand, but Nikki pulls her off. They argue, which allows Alexa to lay out Bayley. I thought this was great. Everybody came off as believable. The heel kind of had a point, but was also still a heel. The baby face maybe has some chinks in her armour in terms of her personal credibility, but defended herself pretty well. The baby face that's in tow with the heel didn't act like a complete moron, but still defended her friend. So when Bayley attacked Alexa, she attacked her from the front. Nikki pulled her off because Bayley's attacking her friend. So Bayley's not done anything outwardly heelish, but now Bayley's got her back turned. The heel attacks her from behind. They got everything right in the segment. What do you want?
I just found it a little bit like women arguing over very little, and I didn't like some of the shooty parts of it.
See, I did. I thought I think the reason I liked it was because it was shooty without being, this is a shoot, folks.
Yeah,
we're shooting
like,
here.
Can't they just tell a story without all of that
Well,
stuff?
clearly not.
They can't anymore.
So a well done sort of angle with shooty elements
I bet
is better than a really badly done pure work angle.
Vince Russo would have loved it.
No, Vince Russo will have thought it wasn't shooty enough. Not enough brown powder.
And there's nothing on a pole.
Where's my Viagra, damn it?
And why am I not? Where's the prop? Mm-hmm. And why are you not giving it to me?
It's on Bayley's shoulder. Apollo approaches Zelina backstage. He wants to know where Andrade is. She accuses him of flirting with her and then does some flirting of her own, only for Andrade to attack Apollo and beat him down. We see Chad Gable in the background taking notes because,
just no.
Yeah. The segment as a whole was fine, though.
It was weird, though.
I like this. I think Apollo showed some charisma, which he's not shown since the independent scene.
He's not been given the opportunity.
And he's not really.
We said in NXT, didn't we? Like, he wasn't ready.
Yeah. And I like the idea of Andrade versus Apollo as a feud. I think it'll work for both of them. So next up, we had Heavy Machinery versus the B Team. Brian and Rowan are on commentary. Can I just say, Brian and Rowan, like,
awesome,
Rowan is wearing a Corrosion of Conformity t-shirt this week in Rowan's metal t-shirts. Just for anybody keeping track.
Please wear Pearl Jam.
And Brian is just great on commentary, seamlessly running down his opponents whilst putting them over. And like, there was something about, he called them similar to the Bushwhackers or something like that, and then said the Bushwhackers were nothing compared to the Sheep Herders, and the Bushwhackers never won the title and stuff like that. And I was just cracking up. And it was one of the commentators, I think it might have been Tom Phillips, said something to the effect of, the Bushwhackers are WWE Hall of Famers, Brian. You've got to respect that. And Brian went, Coco B. Where's in the Hall of Fame? It's not something to respect. And I was like, God.
Just burying the Hall of Fame.
Bury the Hall of Fame, Brian. But it was absolutely brilliant. And like I say, he managed to do the really, really good heel thing where he put his opponent over as dangerous while still building the feud by having a go at them. Perfect. Can we have Brian on commentary and refereeing
doing everything
and ring announcing and wrestling himself, all at the same time?
Yeah, I'm not sure I want to see him wrestling himself in the wrestling ring. I'm not sure that's PG.
4.5 stars, I'm telling you.
I think that takes the whole wrestling and broom to a whole new level.
So the B team got a very brief heat segment, but Tucker got the hot tag to Otis, who ran wild. He hit the Caterpillar, tagged in Tucker, and they hit the compactor for the win. This was solid.
Yeah, it was. I really enjoyed it.
Wildcard Seth appears and takes out the B team with chair shots.
There we go.
Shane arrives halfway through the show, which is a blessing. Less screen time for him to take up. Owens and Zayn inform him of what Seth has just done. They say Seth is a bad person. In fact, both of the champions are. Seth responds by booking Kevin and Sami against Seth and Kofi tonight in a 2 out of 3 falls match. Has Vince just discovered Lucha Libre?
2 out of 3 falls.
I know since I wrote me notes, we've discovered why these things have been happening, or at least what Alvarez has said he's been told. But that was literally my thoughts when I was watching this, not knowing that was Vince's mandate.
But then again, why does 2 out of 3 falls affect when the commercial breaks are?
Because if you wait later on, they do a fall in 7 seconds and then spend the entire commercial break just not wrestling. They do the first fall in like 7 seconds in the 2 out of 3 falls match.
So do they literally just...
Yeah, they hit Trouble in Paradise on Sami and then pin, and then they stand around for 3 minutes while we go to a commercial break, and then we come back and then the match
Can you imagine...
being the live crowd? Not good. Not entertaining.
Suspension of disbelief. KAYFABE! What happened to KAYFABE?
Now we get the worst segment of the week.
No, I'm not scared. What has happened to KAYFABE?
It's dead.
They just stand around. Yeah. Do they get do they bust out and have a beer each? Do they have a drink? Do they get out a pack of cards and start playing cards?
Maybe they called it a rest period between falls. I don't know. Anyway.
Does they just go time out? Oh my God. Wrestling is...
Don't despair.
KAYFABE.
Don't despair.
Yeah, AEW will save us. Jericho will save us again.
Yeah, well, not sure even AEW could have saved the next segment. So Aleister Black talks about no one challenging him. He understands why, but notes someone will eventually come, and when they fight, he will change that man's essence. How can you botch Aleister Black this badly? Like how?
Like this.
If somebody had said to me, Adam, go away
and write him
try and botch Aleister Black as badly as you can, so he's damn near unrecoverable. I'm not sure I could have done as good a job of making a mess of it as they have.
Yeah, you couldn't do a bad job.
Yeah. This is just awful. I love Aleister Black. Why are they doing this to him? So Shane's out with Elias and Drew. Drew says he hopes Reigns is listening tonight because Shane wanted him to end Roman's career, but he's better than that. And he's better than Roman, and won't sneak attack like Roman did last night. The Miz is here and has special slow-mo footage of the beating from last night. He makes fun of Shane. Shane threatens to fire anyone who airs more footage from the production truck and makes fun of Miz's dad. Miz says Shane has made both shows about him and his pals, and he's sick of it. Preach, Miz. He blames himself for getting injured last year, leading to Shane winning the Best in the World tournament and starting this whole process.
So we have Miz to blame, really?
Yes.
Good.
Shane books Drew and Elias versus Miz and a partner of his choosing. He has 10 seconds to find a partner. Truth appears from under the ring, and Awesome Truth reunite. This is now an elimination match. Boy, Vince has really gone off 1-4 matches. So AOP leave Corbin's locker room. They're glad they caught him. The Iconics walk past and are impressed by AOP and the fact that they're glad they've caught Corbin, I guess.
Yeah.
They then bump into Paige and the Kabuki Warriors. Paige wants a title match, but they say they are too busy. Paige says they will have a non-title match at one of the house shows in Tokyo next week, and if they win, they will receive a title shot. So why did Paige ask for a title shot, knowing that they had a non-title match coming up where if they win, they get a title shot? What? There is no logic in this statement.
It's almost like they hadn't thought the segment through.
No. So next up we had Drew and Elias versus Miz and Truth. The 24/7 rules are suspended for the match. The heels isolate Truth for the entire opening sequence. Truth eventually looks like he's going to get a tag to Miz, but Shane pulls Miz off the apron. Elias then hits the jumping knee strike and pins Truth for the elimination. This was literally the entire thing.
Right. Didn't matches still, like, wasn't the hardcore title still technically in defense when you were in a match?
I honestly can't remember.
Like, on their show, like, Alvarez and Vinny were talking about the hardcore title this week. I don't know if you heard, and like, they were comparing.
I will have watched the Brian and listened to the Brian and Vinny show.
And they were
the retro Raw Night
where
show.
they were talking about it's one of the most famous hardcore title segments ever.
Oh yeah.
The Patterson and Briscoe one.
Yeah.
And like Alvarez was talking about how genius it is and how you can see it coming.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make it any less entertaining, and it's so clever and it's so brilliant. And he's like, it's like what they're doing now is nothing like it.
Not at all.
And we need to start. We've been promising that booking for weeks.
Just trying to find a final segment to fit it into, because we've got a lot of final segments.
Yeah, I'm going to say it again. It's on its way.
Yeah. So the Geeks run down and Shelton grabs the title. Everyone chases him until the ref explains he actually needs to pin Truth to win the title. Truth then steals the title back amid the confusion and runs away. The heels beat Miz down for an age, including Shane getting his pound of flesh from the outside. Elias heads up top but eats a boot from Miz on the way down. Miz runs wild for a while and the grounded DDT gets him too. He goes for an O'Connor roll, but Elias kicks out at 2 and sends him towards the ropes, where Drew lays him out with a headbutt and tags in before hitting the Claymore for the win. Post-match, Drew hits another couple of Claymores for emphasis. I know Drew needed a big win, and I'm not saying Miz should have won this match, but God, he looked like a geek here.
Yeah, he looked bad. Miz has looked like a geek for quite a long time now. Yeah. They're not making him a cool babyface. I mean, remember when we were complaining that he was too much of a badass? Like,
true, yeah. They've went at the exact opposite end of the scale.
Times have changed.
Yeah. So Ember is walking backstage and bumps into Carmella. She wants to know if she has seen Sonya and Mandy, whilst Carmella is looking for Truth. She asks Ember to tell Mandy and Sonya that they have unfinished business if she finds them, though. She does, and she gets very angry. They are eating donuts. Ember sends the donuts flying into the air, and they brawl. Security separates them as Sonya has a brief but huge corpsing moment. Send for the man. Truth tries to leave, but a ref turns up. Drake is dressed as Carmella and rolls him up with his feet on the ropes trope, only the rope was a car door sill. That was genius. I know I've just said they don't do things as well, but I love that.
Was good.
Yeah, the doors open, so Maverick rolls him up and literally uses the car
as the
sort
ropes
of door sill for leverage.
Yeah.
Just brilliant. Loved that bit of it.
I just don't like that it's Drake. If it was anybody else, I would.
I don't even mind it being Drake. I just wish
he would focus on being on 205 Live.
Yeah, essentially.
Yes.
In storyline.
Yes.
Like, even if he was doing all this and he was still 205 Live GM and he was like, look, that's my business, what I do there, but when I come to this show, I am serious and I take care of the show and it's my number one priority. Rather than literally, as we'll get to, he's not even at the show this week.
Yes.
Not good. So Drake steals the ref's car and leaves with the title as new champion in time for his wedding. Did you see the stuff they did at the wedding, though?
Yes.
Because everything they do that's not on TV is great.
It's really good. Yeah.
So Truth, for anybody who hasn't seen it, Truth rolls Maverick up as he's walking down the aisle at his wedding, like after the ceremony.
He's walking away with his bride.
Brilliant.
And he gets schoolboyed.
Yeah,
it's
love it.
Just genius.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
So then we get Kofi and Seth versus Sami and Owens in the main event. Kofi hits Trouble in Paradise and pins Zayn in 5 seconds. And the heels then control the match for a while whilst isolating Rollins until he gets a blockbuster and gets the hot tag to Kofi. Kofi gets 2 off a crossbody but gets cut off, and Zayn hits a Blue Thunder bomb for 2. KO comes in but gets caught with a dropkick, allowing Kofi to tag Seth back in. He hits multiple Tope Suicidas and then sets up KO for the stomp, but Zayn grabs his angle. Kofi leaps off the steps and takes Sami out. Rollins and KO trade super kicks and keep trying for their big moves, only to be reversed. Eventually, Seth hits an enziguri and the stomp for the win. This was fun, but again, pointlessly 2 out of 3 falls. And my God, Zayn and Owens are beyond useless in KAYFABE.
Yeah.
They need to give them some credibility. Like, they've got to win the match tonight. They have to give them some form of credibility going forward as a unit.
Yeah, and I'd like to see them be tag champs somewhere, sometime.
With on separate brands, not that really matters.
They're basically making out like they're on the same brand now. Like Sammy's, I'm pretty sure when they came out at the start of the show, I'm pretty sure they went, "Oh, and Kevin Owens from Raw." Like, I'm sure I remember hearing that.
Owens is definitely on SmackDown.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they announced him from Raw though.
Whatever.
But either way, like, they need to give him some credibility badly.
So SmackDown was okay this week. I thought Raw was better, but this was still an okay show. I can't remember the last time neither Raw nor SmackDown outright sucked, though. Yeah. So this is a really good positive step, you know. So SmackDown viewership, they drew 1.86 million viewers this week, down from last week's 1.93 million. This is much of a muchness, really, but they are drifting back towards that record low of 1.83 million that they drew back on the 14th of May.
Not good.
Not good.
No, but I don't. But funny enough, as I was on my way home from work, I was listening to an interview with Eric Bischoff, and he was talking about the brand split when it first started. And he said one of the biggest things in making a brand split work, he said he tried it with Nitro and Thunder and failed. And he said that they tried it the first time with Raw and SmackDown, and like it worked, and then it didn't. You know, it worked for a bit, and then it sucked. He said, you know, now that they're trying it again, and this was obviously a couple of years ago, 2 years ago now they started it?
Yeah. 2016, so three-ish.
He said, you know, the biggest thing that they've got to do is try and make sure that both shows feel totally different.
Yeah,
like,
which they don't.
Come on. Like, they both...
Totally homogenized.
They are the exact same thing now.
So, with that, we will move on to something not homogenized. NXT. We open with the Undisputed Era, and this came very close. Despite being a revolving door segment, this came very close to being segment of the week. It wasn't, but it came very close to it. So Cole says he told us so, and this is just the beginning because this group will soon be draped in gold and they will make NXT into their own image. They throw to a new version of the NXT opening, complete with theme song featuring only the Undisputed Era. It is pure gold. O'Reilly just threw it together last night, apparently. Cole warns Dream and the Street Profits to shine up their titles because the Undisputed Era will have all the gold. Nobody can touch them. Not Regal, not even Triple H. That was an interesting line.
It's coming, isn't it?
Yeah. Dream arrives and says he'd like to touch Cole. That was an interesting line as well. He says the NXT title will look nice next to his North American title. Roddy apes his catchphrase in mockery, but Riddle arrives. He talks about owning victories over Cole and Roddy. Cole says he's jealous because he loses every title match he has and tells him to go back to reviewing Attitude Era wrestlers. Shooty. Tyler Breeze arrives and says he built this brand as the crowd chants OG. He's talked to Regal, and tonight it will be him, Riddle and Dream facing the Era. I know we rag on the revolving door segment, but as they go, this was pretty fantastic. Everyone came across great and believable. Good stuff.
Really good segment. Like, this is how to do the revolving segment. So the revolving door segment.
You know what I think it is as well? We've just talked about how homogenized Raw and SmackDown feel. NXT doesn't feel that way, and they never do the revolving door segment, or at least very rarely. So when it happens, I don't hate it. The reason I hate the revolving door segment is it's the only way they know how to do multi-person things.
Storylines, yeah.
So we get a video recapping the Shayna EO rivalry ahead of their cage match next week, and then next up we have Damian Priest versus Raul Mendoza. This was an enhancement match, but Mendoza got to showcase some of his skills too after being beaten down early.
We liked him in the Cruiserweight Classic.
Like him a lot. He hits a rope walk drop kick, but when he goes for a tope suicida, Priest blocks it and hits a choke slam on the apron. It's the hardest part of the ring, in case he didn't know. He follows with the spin kick and then a crossroads for the pin and the win. Perfectly fine debut.
Really good debut, yes. See how he goes moving forward, but I have faith in NXT to make him look good.
So we get an announcement of a new tournament in NXT featuring stars who have never been on NXT before.
And names you've never seen before.
Well, the names are Jordan Miles, a.k.a. ACH.
A.k.a. ACH. Easy to say.
Boa, a.k.a. Boa. Cameron Grimes, a.k.a. Trevor Lee.
I hate that name.
I like that. I actually think that's an improvement.
I don't.
I do. I like that.
There's a couple I do think are an improvement, but on the whole, no.
Isaiah Scott, a.k.a. Shane Strickland / Killshot.
Nope.
I don't mind that one either. Dexter Lewis, a.k.a. Samuel Shaw.
No.
That one's awful.
Yeah.
That one is absolutely horrendous.
Samuel Shaw is a really good name.
Yeah. It's certainly better than Dexter Loomis.
Dexter Loomis.
Come on, man. Bronson Reed, a.k.a. Jonah Rock. I like that one as well.
I prefer Jonah Rock, though.
So do I, but I think Bronson Reed's a decent name.
It doesn't suck, but, come on, Jonah Rock is so much cooler.
Angel Garza. I hope they change that to Angel. I don't know why. I just hope they do. A.k.a. Garza Jr., which is much of a muchness, really.
Yeah, I agree.
And Joaquin Wild, a.k.a. DJZ.
That one's awful.
Yes, that is horrendous.
Does
He's
it
gone
mean-
from
do-
one horrendous name to another horrendous
Do
name.
you think it means like walking wild? Is that what they're going
Of
for?
course it does. I literally didn't notice that.
Whacking wild.
Yeah, of course it
Is
does.
that what they mean? Walking wild.
Man, that's stupid. Anyway, the winner gets a shot at the NXT title, and there's some really good talent in there. It starts next week, so it should be good.
Yes, it should.
And next up, we had our segment of the week, which is a video package on Mia Yim. They put her over so well here. It was unreal. She talks about her bringing up in LA during a time where there were a lot of racial issues, and with her being of both Korean and African American descent, she never felt like she fit in anywhere, and wrestling was an escape from that. Mia comes across so likable and just like a real human being. And honestly, why don't they do more of this? Even on NXT, this was of a higher quality than your average NXT segment. It was so well done.
It's very similar to when they were really like developing Balor's character, and when they were developing Roddy's character.
Yeah.
Like when they do those kind of things, it really gets people over.
Yeah.
Loved it. Like 100% segment of the week.
Yeah. Just awesome. And next up, we had Xia Li versus Tainara Conchi. This was not good. I really like Xia and think she has a ton of potential, but this was really rough. They got lost quite regularly, and there was almost constant hesitation before each and every move, which totally took me out of the match. And Conchi controlled proceedings until Li fought back and finished her off with almost a version of Black Mass.
Yeah.
Tainara ducked the initial revolution, but was caught with the second. It wasn't good. Let's face it.
Not good. Moving on.
We get a championship edition of Street Talk. Montez drops his crown on the floor, and they ride on top of a car in front of the fans outside of Full Sail, who love them. They will face the Forgotten Sons next week. Perfectly fine.
Awesome.
Street Profits-esque segment.
I'm on board.
Good.
Finally on board.
Yeah. And it's time for our main event now, which was the Undisputed Era versus Riddle, Dream, and Breeze. Kyle is the outside of the ring for this one, and I didn't think he could live up to Bobby Fish's outside of the ring level, but boy was I wrong. At one point, he told Bobby Fish to put him in a bobby bag.
Put him in a bobby bag.
Which is easily the greatest thing that's
Did you
ever been said.
You said bobby bag.
Yes, I said
Yes.
Bobby, not body. Bobby. just like so great. I hope
just
these guys
douche.
never break up.
They are amazing douche heels,
I
aren't
hope
they?
they're together forever. They're just amazing. Yeah. So, as for the match, it was pretty good. The two teams traded control. Dream annihilated Fish's face with an errant line salt that got two, but was just brutal to watch. The teams trade control again until finally Undisputed Era isolate Matt Riddle for the heat. He tries to fight back at one point and goes for a suplex, but Cole turns it into a backstabber for two. Riddle, though, counters a Panama Sunrise attempt and gets the hot tag to Breeze, who runs wild. He catches Fish with the beauty shot, but Roddy makes a save by pulling Fish to the floor. Dream, who is still a bit loopy, tags himself in as Breeze is running the ropes for presumably a tope. He and Breeze argue, and Riddle eats a superkick from Cole on the apron as Strong tags himself in. Breeze and Dream superkick Cole for his troubles, but Roddy hits a jumping knee strike on Breeze, who knocks Dream over as he falls. Strong picks up Dream and hits End of Heartache for the win. Undisputed Era celebrate as the babyfaces begin the inquest, including Riddle trying to help Dream up and Dream pushing him off, even though it was Dream's fault.
Do you feel like Breeze is heading towards a heel turn?
I wouldn't say so.
Just because
it
he's
was Dream that tagged himself into the match.
I know. It's just that obviously he's lost his first match back, and then he's lost again. I do think they're going down like
I would just like to
losing
say
angle.
I don't want to comment on anything to do with this because I know the NXT spoilers. So for the next sort of 8 weeks or so I will not comment.
Okay.
So NXT was great as usual this week.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just standard NXT, always good, always great, and lots of Undisputed Era, which is very nice.
Always good to see the Undisputed Era. So next up we had 205 Live. We get the usual Drake opening. He announces that as a result of last week's controversial finish, both Gulak and Tozawa will face Nice in the three-way at Stomping Grounds. That should rule.
Yeah, that'll be very good.
I hope they put that on the main card tonight. I really, really do.
Wouldn't shock me if it was pre-show.
It wouldn't, but
considering that they put
do you not
on
think they
Nice
could put
and
something
Daivari as on the actual main show.
I know, and this has the potential to actually be a really good match, and I really think it would be great if it was on the actual show and people could see how good 205 Live can be. So, first match we had tonight was the Sings versus Lucha House Party. I must admit, I care very little for either team, and this match didn't change my opinion on that at all.
Yeah.
It only went about 6 minutes, but somehow dragged like hell. The babyfaces got the shine, the heels cut them off and got the heat until Dorado hit the golden rewind. He got the hot tag to Metalik, who ran wild. He hit the missile dropkick and then a tag to Dorado followed as Metalik hit a huge springboard crossbody to the outside. Dorado hit the shooting star press, but Samir made the save. Metalik took him out, and then Sunil grabbed Penelope the pinata and damaged her, much to Dorado's chagrin, allowing Sunil to cradle him with the tights for the win. This wasn't very good with a stupid finish.
Didn't like it at all, and like my God, like Metalik deserves so much
better, yeah. So we get a super wacky segment with Brian Kendrick and Noam Dar. Dar apparently was trying to pretend he wasn't in the building, even though he was, and Kendrick covered for him by saying he was having to run to catch his private jet because he had a match in 2 minutes. This was weird.
Strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was funny, but it was just weird.
205's been weird so far, hasn't it?
So Kendrick versus Russ Taylor. Russ, as I mentioned earlier, is better known as Ryan Taylor, who we saw a lot of in the late 2000s and early 2010s in PWG. He plays the heel in this as he refuses Kendrick's handshake. He gets some shots in, but Kendrick fights back and hits sliced bread for the win. Perfectly fine squash match.
Absolutely fine, and because Kendrick's been kind of quiet for a while.
And then the best thing on this show, Sarah Schreiber interviews Jack Gallagher about his loss to Chad Gable. Gallagher says he lost and admits that, but feels they have unfinished business. Mike and Maria arrive. Mike claims Gallagher is an embarrassment, just like the absentee GM Drake Maverick. He calls Gallagher a deadweight, and Gallagher admits to being in a slump, but wants to give Mike an opportunity to get a black eye in front of his wife next week. Mike would like to see him try. I thought it was really good. Like, Gallagher's really underrated on the mic. Really underrated.
He's underrated in general. And like, really good babyface.
And Mike and Maria played the part perfectly fine here. This was easily the best thing on what we'll get to, but it was a pretty weak 205 live.
Yeah, I agree.
So our main event was Oni Lorcan versus Arya Davari. Lorcan runs wild early, selling his frustration at being attacked during last week's number one contenders match. Davari continually tries to run away, eventually hits the divorce court off the ropes and gets the heat. Lorcan tries to fight back a couple of times, but Davari always manages to counter his fight back. Davari hits an iconoclasm for 2. He heads up top, but misses the frog splash, which allows Lorcan to actually fight back. He hits uppercuts and then a running blockbuster for 2. He brutalizes Arya with Misu-style slaps. Davari hits a super kick, but Lorcan answers with a half-and-half suplex. Davari ends up on the outside, so Lorcan hits a tope. Davari waffles him with a chair for the DQ, though. This was fine in all elements, except for the fact that I just didn't care. I just did not care at all.
I'm not a big fan of non-finishes on 205 Live either.
And post-match, Davari destroys Oni all around ringside before leading him up the ramp and hitting the hammerlock lariat.
I'm just not a big fan of non-finishes on 205 either.
They don't do it overly much, so that didn't really bother us. I failed to care about anything Arya Davari's involved in, unfortunately.
Totally agree.
Yeah. So we close with sit-down promos from the 3 championship match participants. They all cut good promos. Tozawa didn't even do his big goofy smile to sell how important this match is to him.
Yeah.
So a fairly poor episode of 205 Live. In fact,
flat.
I'd wager that in the 6 months we've been doing this podcast that this is A, the worst episode of 205 Live in that period.
I totally agree.
And B, the first time it's been the weakest of the 4 WWE shows in any given week.
Yeah, I would totally agree. I was just thinking. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah, because it's always been either 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah.
At the very least, 3.
So hopefully the 3-way is great on Sunday and we get back on track next week.
Fingers crossed. And can we stop with all the Drake rubbish, please?
And with that, we will move on to any other business. So Laredo Kid has been revealed as the Lucha Bros partner for their match against the Elite at Fyter Fest. Best Friends versus SCU versus Private Party will take place at Fyter Fest 2. The winners will advance to All Out for an opportunity at a first-round bye in the World Tag Title Tournament, which Tony Khan has gone on record saying will be one of the main focuses when their TV show debuts in the autumn. It has also been announced that the women's title will be unveiled at All Out.
And I'm looking forward to seeing that. I'm looking forward to see the design of that, if it's any different, or if they're going very uniform with the titles. It'll be really interesting to see. If it's anything like the main title, it'll be pretty. Cannot wait to see it. I was thinking about it as well. Like, for their women's division, like, they need Tessa Blanchard. They need to be going.
She'd be an amazing addition to that
They need
division.
to be going all out though together. Like her
all
and
out. Yeah, I see what you did
I
there.
didn't even mean that. And Emma.
Yeah,
they could really do with picking her up. And she's a free agent now. They could really do with picking her up.
I certainly think she would be a good pickup for them. Yeah.
Yeah, because other than TNA, she's got nowhere else to go really now.
Yeah. So PWG have revealed the card for their anniversary show 16. Some interesting matches on there. The two standout ones for me would be Jungle Boy versus Joey Janela and the main event of the Rascals versus LAX in a ladder match.
Ooh.
The show takes place on the 26th of July.
I love LAX.
Mm-hmm. And ironically enough, we have a Slammiversary card update too, as the Rascals versus LAX has been added to that show too. Slammiversary takes place on the 7th of July. LAX defend their titles here and challenge for the Rascals PWG belts at 16. So,
like, genuinely, like, would you ever have thought that, like, rehashing LAX would be so good?
No, and I thought they sucked when they originally got together, but they've become so good.
They're really
they are genuinely one of my favourite tag teams on the planet.
I love the original LAX. I love the whole gimmick and everything about it, and their feud with AJ and Daniels was awesome. Loved it, and it's great now as well.
So Taya defending her Knockouts title against Su Yung, Jessica Havoc, and Rosemary in a Monsters Ball match has also been announced.
It's been built pretty well.
Yeah. And ROH have also added 2 matches to the Best in the World show that will be taking place on this coming Friday, with Kelly Klein teaming with Jenny Rose to take on the Allure, and Villain Enterprises defending their 6-man tag titles against Mark Haskins, Tracy Williams, and PJ Black.
ROH is in a bad way.
It's not in a good way.
We'll have to do this as a final segment sometime.
Yeah,
but like,
we've said this before.
ROH is not in a good place at the moment. It feels so directionless.
You know my feelings on that company, and it depresses me to see it in the state that it's
just so directionless, and there's no one apart from Skrull. It's starting to feel like there's no one. Like, there's Lethal, but what's Lethal doing?
And with that, we move on to our final segment of the week, which is our predictions for tonight's show of Stomping Grounds. So, Jonathan, you are 8-5 up in the predictions game as we stand.
Yes.
But not for long, because my comeback is about to begin.
Didn't you say that last time?
Yeah, of course I did. Look, you got to have faith.
All right, George.
Yeah.
Love a bit of George Michael.
No, I really don't.
Oh, man, you got no taste.
Anyway, so Universal Championship match. Seth Rollins, Baron Corbin.
Seth.
Yeah, I'm going Seth as well.
Please, for the love of God, Vince, don't.
Raw Women's Championship match. Becky or Lacey?
Becky.
Yeah, I'm going to go Becky too. I'm more on the fence about that one than I would like, but I'm going to go Becky. WWE Championship Steel Cage match. Kofi versus Dolph. This is Kofi, right?
Kofi,
it's got to
right.
be Kofi.
Yeah.
SmackDown Women's Championship match. Bayley retains.
Yeah, I think Bayley retains. It wouldn't shock me, but I do think Bayley retains. It would seem odd to cut her legs out from under at this point, but it
wouldn't surprise you at the same
Vince.
time. Yeah.
It wouldn't shock me, right, if they'd had Austin lose at Mania 14 at this rate.
Yeah. So US title match: Joe versus Ricochet. Joe?
I think Joe retains, but I think it's one of those where it's hopefully a star-making performance.
Could well be. Joe's always worked well with
younger flippy guys.
Yeah, basically.
AJ.
Yeah.
Daniels.
Aries.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Cruiserweight Championship match. Tony Nese, Drew Gulak, Akira Tozawa. I'm going to go Gulak in this one.
I think Nese retains. I think it's too soon. I think Gulak winning will hopefully be the end game. I just don't know if it's yet.
I just think the only reason I add him to this match, quote unquote, and stuff like that, and the fact that he's come back with this new character, and the way he kind of conducted himself in that little promo he did at the end, it kind of felt like the focus is on Drew Gulak, so I'm going to go with Gulak.
We shall see.
We shall see, indeed. SmackDown Tag Title match, Daniel Bryan and Rowan versus Heavy Machinery.
I think the Planet's Champions win. They're not even calling them that,
I know, it's
like,
such a misnomer.
The Planet's Champions.
Yeah.
Like, how hard is it?
It's too easy. It's too easy for them.
Yeah.
So, Roman, and I'm in agreement, by the way.
I
don't know whether I said
Planet's I'm not even sure I actually said Planet's Champions. Yeah. I just started ranting.
Yeah. Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre.
Roman, I think.
Yeah, I'm not 100%.
Sure,
like, I think this is a bit of a toss 'em up game, but I'm going to go with Roman as well.
Yeah.
And finally, Big E and Xavier Woods of New Day versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn.
I think New Day, just to give Big E a moment, but I'm not sure about this one.
I just think,
but if they go with how they've booked Sammy and Kevin, then
true.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of the reason why I'm going to go with Owens and Zayn, because I just feel like they desperately need a win to give them some kind of credibility. But given how they've beaten them like a drum, I wonder if it's a punishment, for Owens not going to Saudi Arabia and refusing to go.
Wouldn't shock me.
Yeah. But Vince
has punished people for less.
Yeah. Remember
Remember Titus.
I'm sticking with my Owens and Zayn prediction. So we're basically the same, apart from I'm going for Gulak in the Cruiserweight title match, and you're going for Owens and Zayn. I'm going for Owens and Zayn in the tag match, and you're going for New Day. And you've gone for Nice in the Cruiserweight title. So it could go either way.
It could.
Yeah. So we will see, but we will be back to review Stomping Grounds at some point after we've watched the show. We'll probably watch the show on Monday night and record a podcast at some point after that. We won't promise a date, but we'll get it up as soon as we possibly can and sort of give a review of that show. God knows we may need some alcohol to get through that one.
Please be good. Please be good.
I don't think it's going to be.
Neither do I.
Anything to add before we go, Jonathan?
No, nothing from...
Sorry, we're out of time. We will see you whenever we upload the Stomping Grounds review show on the Two Man Booth.
Catchy.
Yeah. Love it.